Hello and welcome to this week's edition of CTN Community Update. The future is becoming a bit clearer for a building that has stood for more than a half century in Coon Rapids. At a work session this week, the City Council reached a consensus to save the Riverwind building for now and do what they can to get more years of life out of it. Several council members, along with city staff and members of the Park and Recreation Commission, plan to meet with a contractor to find out options and costs for improvements to the existing building. The building, which used to house the teen center, includes bathrooms and meeting space. We do know the building will be getting a new roof due to hail damage. There had been talk about tearing the building down and building something new in its place, but that option proved to be too costly. Construction is officially underway on a new car dealership here in Coon Rapids. Honda is constructing a 56,000 square foot building adjacent to the McDonald's restaurant off Hanson Boulevard in the Gateway Commerce Center. A marked crosswalk will be added across Gateway Drive for access to the inventory lot, but the dealership is not expecting a lot of pedestrian traffic. Nissan will also be constructing a new dealership just to the west of the new Honda. Nissan currently has a facility on the north side of Highway 10 near Round Lake Boulevard. There could soon be another dining option for people working and living in the center of the city. The Planning Commission is recommending approval of a revision to the planned unit development for the Village 10 Shopping Center, which is home to Lifetime Fitness, Cub Foods, and other businesses. Chipotle wants to move into the space currently occupied by AAA. AAA is planning to move to the other end of the building. A revision is needed to the planned unit development to modify the exterior building elevation and to add new signage and an outdoor seating area. The City Council will make a final decision on June 5th. Students at Coon Rapids High School got a lesson dating back to the disco era this week.
Push the chest halfway down, half the thickness of the chest. There we go.
On Tuesday morning, about 600 freshmen learned compression-only CPR to the tune of the Bee Gees' Stayin' Alive. Members of the Coon Rapids Police and Fire Departments, along with Blaine officers, were on hand to help train the students. Last week, students did the classroom portion, which included AED instruction. It's all part of the Coon Rapids Heart Safe initiative.
Today is their actual physical part of it, the hands-on part of it, the part where they put their hands on the dummies and actually do the compression. Each student is required to do a minute straight of compressions, which is a long time to do compressions, and this will satisfy their state requirement for graduations.
It took an hour to get all the students through the training. Now every student at Coon Rapids High School is equipped with a life-saving skill. CPR has been a graduation requirement in Minnesota since 2012. May is Stroke Awareness Month. The disease is so pervasive, the emergency department at Mercy Hospital sees about 400 to 500 stroke patients each year. But a new treatment at Mercy is already saving lives. CTN's Jennifer Anderson has the story.
Slow down.
Every step after a stroke
Come on.
is a victory.
Come on.
Roy Olenkamp and his dog Juno walk 4 to 6 miles a day.
I'm extremely grateful.
Steps Roy can no longer take for granted.
Come on, sweetie.
One morning last summer, Roy was up early with his dog when life changed.
I was kind of going in and out. Just didn't feel right at all. Go for a walk with me?
Little did Roy and his wife Diane know he was in the midst of a massive stroke.
How can this be? You know, we're huge walkers. It just did not seem right. It didn't seem fair.
The severity of Roy's stroke could easily have resulted in paralyzation or even death, if not for a treatment that had just arrived at Mercy Hospital.
This is huge. This really changes everything.
Dr. Michael Schwemm is medical director of Mercy's emergency department. He says for a select group of stroke patients like Roy, a mechanical thrombectomy can mean the difference between life and death. A wire inserted near the groin and thread up into the brain vacuums out bits of the blood clot creating the stroke. Patients once had to travel great distances to have this done, but during a stroke, timing is everything. So most candidates never got the chance to have this life-saving measure. Now, a team of specialists is on call around the clock at Mercy Hospital in Coon Rapids.
It was remarkable because patients that had come in being unable to move half of their body, unable to speak, unable to swallow or handle their own saliva or secretions, were able to have this procedure, and within minutes were conversant, moving their arms and legs again. It was stunning to everyone that was in the room.
Okay, here I'll go.
Roy was one of the first to have a mechanical thrombectomy at Mercy Hospital. Recovery feels tedious, but Roy knows his second chance is precious.
Yeah, I hate to go to sleep at night. I'm afraid I'm not going to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, that's hard.
So that feeling is getting a little bit better, but it's still hard.
A lifelong outdoorsman, since his stroke, Roy has managed to continue to walk, hunt, and fish. He even took a family trip to Disney World with his 5-year-old granddaughter.
Hopefully I can keep healthy, and I want my granddaughter to see me. She's just a little girl. Yeah, I guess you learn to appreciate every day a little more than what you used to.
For CTN Update, I'm Jennifer Anderson.
Since Mercy Hospital began offering the treatment, 48 patients have had the procedure, and the results have been a huge success. Of the estimated 500 stroke patients the hospital sees each year, about 100 of them will likely be candidates for this treatment. The Mercy Hospital Unity Campus has a new addiction withdrawal medical unit. The new unit, which has 14 beds, helps individuals who are struggling with addiction and, as a result, have medical complications. The medical director for Allina Health Addiction Services says more than 20% of all hospital admissions are due to addiction and substance abuse. An international march against domestic and sexual violence received strong local support last weekend. Hundreds of men walked in stylish high heels in downtown Anoka in opposition to all forms of violence against women. CTN's Dan Carpenter takes us to the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes march.
Taking a stand against sexual and domestic violence.
Down here we got some really high heel pink ones over here for you.
Doesn't have to be done in boring shoes. No one said they'd be comfortable. Yet more than 600 people signed up to walk a mile in her shoes. It's an international march that works to raise awareness about the violence that still leaves women and girls injured and killed.
1 in 6 women experience sexual violence during their lifetime.
Remembered here as silhouettes are local victims.
Every single one of these silhouettes, if you read, there's a story about the tragedy in which they ended up losing their lives. So it's really a way to remember them and to really honor their memory.
By literally wearing women's shoes, a man's perspective changes instantly.
It's not heel toe, really.
It's also meant to be a demonstration of empathy.
It's toe, I think, and then put down the heel maybe at some point, I think.
This mile march, sometimes moved, at a shuffle.
I want them to understand, how it feels like to be in somebody else's shoes.
Let's go, LETSGO, let's!
But with the help of the Centennial cheerleaders and marching band, everyone would reach the finish line.
It's such a great symbolism to show that, this is really important and we're willing to do this to show our support in the fight against domestic and sexual violence.
Proceeds from the walk benefit Alexandra House, a local shelter for women and children.
The majority of men are good men who want to do what is right. We can no longer stand by silently as women and girls are violated.
A call for these good men to bring about much needed change.
The men who know and understand that violence of all forms against females is wrong.
Dan Carpenter for CTN Update.
This year's Walk a Mile in Her Shoes raised $30,000 for the Alexandra House. The event organizers say they hope the walk will raise community awareness about domestic and sexual violence and galvanize strong community opposition. The public is welcome to get some cardio activity in on the hardwood at the National Sports Center. On Thursday evening, the Sports Center debuted their new basketball and volleyball courts. The open gym is free on opening weekend. After that, it will cost you $5 a day or $20 for a monthly pass. The project, which has been in the works for more than 2 years now, cost around $300,000. You can also check out the new courts for free during a special open house at the National Sports Center coming up on June 1st. Between 5:30 and 9 p.m., you can play on the courts, the National Sports Center fields, and also Victory Links Golf Course, where you can golf for free. The Schwann Super Rink is also having a free public skate from 6:10 to 8:10 p.m. The open house concludes with a movie at 9 p.m. Wonder will be shown on a big screen on the outdoors on Field E2. Free popcorn will be served. And that's going to bring us to the end of today's show. Have a safe Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you back here again next week.